Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight. I'm Alexis, and I'm joined by David Francisco. Of course, we're at Regions of S.H.I.E.L.D. reaction and commentary series. Last time we were here, we commented to the episode 1 Door Closes, which was a pretty explosive episode for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., maybe one of the most explosive of the season. And today, we are here to talk about Season 2, Episode 16, Afterlife, which was written by Craig Titley and directed by Kevin Hooks. Of course, our regular cast of main characters: Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Brett Dalton, Chloe Bennett, Ian DeCasterker, Elizabeth Henstridge, Nick Blood, Adrian Palicki, as well as a reoccurring cast, which includes Kyle MacLachlan returning as Calvin Zabo, Henry Simmons as Alfonso McKenzie, Deacon Lockman as Jia-Ying, Jamie Harris as Gordon, Luke Mitchell as Lincoln Campbell, Ruth Nega as Raina, Stoney Westmoreland as Honest Eddie. That's hilarious. Edward James Olmos as Robert Gonzalez, and J. August Richards returns as it's a bit of a spoiler. I'm gonna keep that as a surprise because that's actually a pretty fun moment. For those of you who know, you know. This was broadcast on April 7th, 2015. God damn. 4.24 million viewers. Yeah. And interesting. Let's see here. Yeah, look, we're in the thick of it now. This is the 16th episode. Oh God. We're almost done. We're well on our way to the end of season 2, which is kind of crazy to think about because it's been a pretty, quick whirlwind of sorts. But I guess now looking back on it, we're kind of like, I don't know, for us in real time, it's been kind of difficult, right? Because we have had to pause quite frequently throughout the way, but because I feel like when we did the first half of season 2, we kind of like just steamrolled through and did like 10 straight weeks, and then like the second half of season 2 happened, and then a whole bunch of things, the holidays, and then of course after the holidays was just a whole bunch of like chaos, literally. So without even like thinking about it or even fully realizing it, here we are on an episode 16. We have, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, about 7 episodes left in this season, which is crazy. But of course, as we have already been talking about, things are already kind of moving forward, as they have been, I feel like for the first few episodes of Season 2B, if you're going to call it Season 2B, it kind of like gives you a moment to catch a breath. But now after the episode that we had last week, there's no such thing anymore. I think we're going to go ahead and race toward where are we right now in this season, David? How are you feeling? I know this, you said at the beginning, was one of the seasons that didn't immediately come top of mind for you. How has it been, like, kind of just like, is it all coming back now, little by little?
We'll see actually at the end of this one, because I for sure remember parts more so the end of this season than I did at the beginning of it. So we'll see how this episode goes for sure.
But it seems like as far as the season is concerned, we're having very little to no issues.
No, yeah, it's been great.
As far as anything going on. And like there's a lot of characters up in the air as well. It's interesting because like it's been a couple of weeks since we've had really anything to do with Inhumans. I think this is going to be a big episode when it comes to that. But it's funny how, so far the show has like, they've introduced so many new characters and different kinds of like through lines that it doesn't, at least to me, I don't ever seem to mind when it takes a break from one to go to the other because they're both so good. I mean, I feel like this show has always realized that if we're going to do anything, let's do it well. So that way, when we get to this point in the season, it doesn't matter what we're focusing on or who we're focusing on. I mean, if there's a weak link to this season, maybe it's Ward. And not because it's bad, but just because he's obviously not as major of a character in this season. He's more so, left out there in the wilderness. he will come back into play. So he's just so you know.
Yeah.
Anything to say before we get into? I think we had like one comment from last week.
There's 3. Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's 3. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh well. From episode
yes,
15.
Yes,
it was one.
I
but
forget that we're a week behind on
yeah.
that one.
Pull it up. Okay. So first one from Gary Marshall. Jesse Bochco is the son of Stephen Bochco, who is best known for co-creating classic 80s TV series Hill Street Blues and L.A. Law. Sorry. He's also the son-in-law of Ted Danson of Cheers fame.
Ooh, okay.
That's cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. Next one's from Silva. I'm happy to let you know that there's an official AOA series on DVD. It's available on the Walmart website. I bought it last year. Next one's from Silva. I'm one of the few that believe Ward actually cares for Kara. If he didn't care or was using her, he would have been intimate with Kara when she was donning Sky's appearance. Ward also mourns her at the end. He wouldn't do that if he was faking.
I feel like maybe it's a bit hard to tell from our attitude and how we were talking about it in the episode Love in the Time of Hydra. I don't think anybody questions that Ward doesn't care about Kara. I think he obviously does. But it just so happens that Ward's way of expressing love also happens to look as if he's using her. And that's how it comes across. I think ultimately you got to understand that Ward is also so deluded that he doesn't realize that him basically molding somebody into his image, for him to think that that's not love, he would think you're crazy. Which is why he's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think anyone's like really questioning that Ward doesn't care about her. Obviously he does, and maybe not at first, but it's like he is in such a weird place where it's like, you know, he just kind of like he felt like he has been delivered. You know, he murdered his family, so he feels a sense of accomplishment that he came over all of his demons, and so now he feels like he's in a position to help this other individual who helped him by going on, you know, a revenge tour of her own, by going after the person that made the mask, which had nothing to do with her, or how she even got it. I mean, it was beyond his even control, but they killed him either way. And then, of course, going after Bakshi, who had definitely much more involvement in her being brainwashed. It's like, I don't think anyone, I think it's hard to see it now. That obviously, he does care about her.
No,
but the way that he cares for people is in such a really weird place where it's kind of hard to really distinguish from that of someone that was obviously trying to control them. Go ahead, David.
No, he just has a warped sense of what love is. You know, I think he gets like the basic idea of, you know, he wants to make this person like a better version of themselves and all that, but his version of it is to hurt the people who hurt her, or, you know, get revenge on things, get like closure
people
of
have
things
such a
of
hard
her
time
past.
with this.
And
I feel like if you go back to Thanos, right? Thanos and Gamora, that whole situation. Remember in Infinity War when that came out, people were like bitching and moaning. It's like, that's not love. How do you call it love?
Yeah.
But he loves her in his own fucked up way. His version of love is obviously not equitable to a normal, sane person's version of love. It should not be said here. I'm sure someone's gonna come out and come at us for that, but I'm just like, I'm trying to distinguish it here because clearly it ain't the same thing. But I mean, obviously, this fucked up, insane, psychologically disturbed character does care about this other person in their own fucked up way. That's just the text.
Yeah.
I'm not here trying to argue that. So, yeah. And then as far as the DVD thing is concerned, I think ultimately the point is, at the height, here's my overall point is this: at the height of the MCU, this show always got treated like dirt. And it always was treated like the black sheep. And on top of everything else, it couldn't get at home Blu-ray DVD releases beyond season 2, which in and of itself was another example in how Marvel wasn't supporting the show. Because every other TV show had physical media releases officially in the US, obviously. Now, I understand that there are like official releases, like for example, only Japan released 6 and 7. Okay, that good for Japan. What about us? You see what I'm saying here? It's like we didn't have the support here. It just, the show at this point had the stink of Loserville. And very clearly, the people at the top didn't see the value or the profitability in even having any more at-home physical media releases. And as a fan of the show, it was very frustrating because, again, you know, we just saw Captain America: Brave New World, and we're not gonna make this a review of that. There'll be a review on that on the show at some point. But it's just like there was actually an individual by the name of, I believe, I think Bill Simmons, who was on the Big Picture podcast, and they were on it and they were talking about the movie, and he was saying something that I just felt so deep in my bones about, like, you know, I really used to like these movies, all of these movies, and I remember a time where all of them would be so exciting, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out at a time that we were all really into Marvel movies, and it always kind of like sucked thinking that this show would always just like not be included in the party. But now all these years later, it's just like, well, not even the movies themselves are just not as satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm gonna leave it there because I feel like I've gone on enough when it comes to that. I mean, where are the soundtracks? You know, Bear McCreary did amazing music all 7 seasons. Where are the soundtracks? They couldn't even release it on streaming. Yeah. You have to go on YouTube and find like unofficial versions of them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go on Apple Music or Spotify, there's the full soundtrack for Kevin Kiner's music on Star Wars Rebels. Because not only does that has institutional support. Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Anyway, before I get angrier, let's go ahead and get started into this episode. Anything else? Do you have one more comment?
Yes. Well, I gotta finish Silva's comment, and then Serenity commented on that.
Sorry. Okay.
Silva just finished it off with, I always say Kara is the forgotten victim of season 2. Which, yeah, honestly, I forget that she died, and so yeah, that.
Well, she gets
basically
murdered.
Right. She gets murdered, died, whatever. Basically, this is her one and only season. So, and I forgot about
this. I would sympathize with people who feel like she got done dirty because she did, because she was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who basically got buckied.
Yeah.
And then once the master was killed, she kind of just became collateral damage. To S.H.I.E.L.D.'s defense, it's not as if they were ever in a position to help Kara in time. The only instance where they could have helped her is in a few episodes from now when she gets into their custody and they don't really seem to know what to do with her. And so they just kind of choose to lock her up, which really it didn't work out well for some people. So I can understand how she really, I mean, honestly, she is a true victim because she's just used by everybody and then she ends up just dying. So I understand that.
Servant commented, yeah, the only truly honest part of Ward is his care love for Daisy and Kara, and even that is twisted by his BS. So,
there we
basically
go.
what we were saying.
There we go.
That's it.
Okay. Let's go ahead and start our...
Previously on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
By the way, I had to apologize for the audience. The last 2 episodes that we were recording, I've just felt all kinds of awful. This is like the first time that I feel normal in like weeks. Like I was even listening to the audio of last week's episode and my voice was just gone.
Yeah, my voice was pretty different too.
So hopefully it'll be better off this time around.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Gordon, help.
Even looking at this flashback, it's like, oh shit, all this happened last week. Here we go. Oh, this... I remember this opening here.
Can I let you in on a little secret? I've got a genuine, honest Abe God.
It's just a really fun little element added here late into the season where, you know, all this time Coulson's been top dog and now he's kind of forced to go on the road and be this rogue agent, which is just...
Like he's stuck in a rut. Life's lost its thrill.
Moments like these,
the kids are monsters. The wife's taking...
Just exactly. The wife's taking them. I love how every person he's come into contact with, whether it be this salesman or the bartender last week, has kind of just basically sees him as the equivalent of being left by his wife, which I guess kind of did happen.
Yeah.
Ash is a man with class. I'll do you one better. A 2010 Ford...
And Coulson's not really making an effort to hide that.
He's calling the police. Are you happy? Sorry, Eddie. Tiger's been loose for a while.
So this was that was the actor Stoney Westmoreland as Honest Eddie. That was Honest Eddie, everybody.
Okay.
Just checking it. And I'm like, whoa, here we are. What is this?
These treatments, we're helping your body adjust properly to the change, transitioning you quickly and painlessly.
Once you're cleared and debriefed, you're free to go if that's what you really want.
Stop packing my things.
You should have brought cupcakes.
Wouldn't be a bad idea.
You have to admire their loyalty.
Loyalty to a man and not the shield.
It's the same thing. But I should say I really appreciate Simmons and Fitz just like, nope, we're not going to help you.
Yeah.
Well, at least they didn't take her. That means she's out there, so we'll find her and... That's new. Did she just get abducted by aliens? Seriously? I was only gone a week.
It just looked like that, doesn't it? It's only been gone. That's right. Hunter doesn't even know, has no idea about Gordon.
Yeah.
We flushed your lymphatic and circulatory system, so you'll be weak for a few days, but...
I know we say we weren't going to bring up Captain America, but just do one the tiny thing. That's how you do exposition right there. With the way Hunter was like, wait, what the fuck happened? Like, I've only been gone this long and all that. If you've seen Captain America, you know what I'm talking about.
So we just call it Afterlife. More like a way station. I'm from Cincinnati, trying to finish med school. I'm brought here when I'm needed.
I do like this set, though.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they've made it look. And I also do love how...
No, I thought you said that everyone here is like...
Either it's outside or they've made it look very well. It has to be outside, right? How they've... Where they're filming this part, at least?
No, yeah, this part right here is for sure outside.
Our descendants, yes,
Yeah,
but most of them are
obvious.
waiting to be chosen. They carry the genetic marker.
But I mean, there was a clear green screen when the mountains and all that, but other than
Well,
that,
yes.
everything else is...
But that was actually a pretty good green screen.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
The whole mountain stuff. I mean, and I had to say pretty good because Captain America. There was some moments there. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kicked your ass in that department many times.
That hasn't happened for thousands of
I mean, I gotta tell you, the movies aren't even trying anymore with how bad the rotoscoping has gotten. Let's just be real. And it's been that way for years.
Gordon takes people everywhere. It's his job to keep us safe.
Do they say how Gordon is able to see? Or...
No.
Okay. Oh.
Not that I know of.
Is it true that Fury asked you to spy on Coulson because of these GH325 transfusions? Coulson should be on the index with Agent Sky. You, of all people, know what happens. Empowered people lose control.
Bastard.
Keep hoping this will all be resolved and things can get back to normal.
The fastest way to make that happen is to help us open that box.
It's not a tech solution. It's a lab solution.
What interesting there. Bobby giving a smirk there. She thinks, again, that she's got the best of Simmons. Not to dig too further ahead here, but
Some time. Try to relax.
Bobby's wrong.
Relax.
And this is officially the second time Simmons has just tricked Bobby. Which is hilarious, actually, I should say. Like, you would never imagine that would be the case. But Simmons is getting very good at lying very quickly before our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you remember what happens next, David, with what she's going to do here. But that whole thing was obviously a ruse. And Bobby fell for it.
I fell for it. It's kind of like,
yeah, I know.
I'm like, where's...
kind of ruining. I'm ruining it for you right now, but I just
It's
want to
fine.
be clear about that. I know you don't care, but it's just like, this, you know, right now she's full of shit, and then also what I love so much about, you know, this initial interaction. It's like, you know, with Sky and with Lincoln.
I don't want to control it. I want to get rid of it.
Obviously, I can't be the only person thinking from the very first moment that Lincoln walked in, where I'm like, they're gonna be a thing at some point, aren't they? Right? Like, it was almost in, and I think what helps sell that point further is every scene they've had together since, you feel it, right? Like, you feel it, like, and obviously, like, she's, you know, he's helping her kind of like see what she's going through from a different perspective.
Deep dish. Gordon brings him in from Chicago. You can't miss it.
So,
Nice to see his gifts aren't being wasted.
Seriously, rest.
and he's also very charismatic.
No, yeah.
Like, I think Lincoln is like almost automatically very likable. For the most part, I know some people who are watching are not very. They're not fans, but that's okay. Everyone's gonna have a fan.
What's happening? Shields here.
Ours or theirs?
Theirs.
Damn it, how did they find us?
I invited them.
It's like, why? I just got away from them.
On the other hand, let's just hope they didn't bring a battering ram, because then we've only got about an hour.
An hour ain't too bad though.
Oh yeah, it's get him out.
This is it. Best view in the house.
It's beautiful.
Good place to clear your head, figure
Okay, so-
things out.
That's not green screen.
That's what I'm asking you. It's like, it looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't seem like green screen.
Take my hand. I know it's so awkward, but you strike me as someone who's generally more curious than afraid.
Is it possible it's a California mountain and they just use FX to like dress it up as a Chinese mountain?
Are you doing that?
I mean, maybe. There's a lot of places here in the U.S. that maybe we can just...
Hey, look at that. The photo.
Yeah.
I hate to see you leave, Turbo.
God. How long has it been since we've seen this set?
It's a 21st Century Howling Commandos kit. Tripp
Right?
and Fitz built it for me. Hey, did you play cards?
That look.
It's like, what are you doing? Come on.
Yeah, Hunter's like, what?
Can't believe that worked.
We had the better hand.
Nice.
Jesus.
Feeding me like some animal? I can't have a window?
I can't have a window. It's like as he first goes to that.
Just take a moment and...
Ooh.
Things can never go back to normal. Can't you see that? Can any of you see what you've done? You've destroyed a man's life, and for what?
Cool it.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking cool it, you fucking assholes. Like, what? You're gonna shoot him dead over that Where's he gonna go?
Little black box.
Put the gun down.
Well, I don't believe in fear. I believe in trust. And I'm shocked that you would do this. You knew this would drive me away. You may as well have packed my bags yourself.
You look at Bobby and Mac, they're like, wait, what? That's not what you were supposed to say.
Yeah. Also, I genuinely don't remember what happens. I'm kind of like, wait, is this gonna happen? Is this gonna happen? It's so funny.
Then there's this.
The suit looks a lot cooler, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
At some point you might have mentioned that Backup was a lethal cyborg.
Truthfully, I just wanted to see the look on your face when you showed up. Priceless.
Glad I amused you.
That's how we love Coulson.
It was for a second, but when he went up to him, when
Mm-hmm.
he went up to Hunter and like unlocked his whatever cuffs, and he was just had this like shocked look in his face, like his mouth was open too. It was crazy. It was funny.
You wanted to go. You needed to go. Because we're the same sky.
A little touch of Daisy's theme at the background there. You caught it.
Whatever you two were in the past, that's not what you are now. I can't stay. And if you don't feel a connection between us worth exploring, well, we never have to see each other again.
Immediately, you see, she sees and she feels something, but she can't quite put together what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Although part of her may already see what it is and doesn't want to believe it. I mean, that Sky trying to figure out, like, who is this woman?
I told you I would find her. And I did.
You were right, Cal. It's Daisy, our daughter.
It's so sad, man.
Yeah.
Like, you would think for the audience seeing them together for the first time, it might be somewhat sweet or something, but
yeah,
it's not even close. They're so separated.
There's only one man who's connected to both sides of this equation. If we're gonna find Sky, we need to find him first.
And who's that?
Our bad option. Grant Ward.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad option.
Thing I've ever encountered. Without Coulson or some miracle, I'm afraid it's just a worthless piece of junk.
Have you caught what has happened here yet, David?
Did he switch the boxes? Or...
So, what's wonderful about this is that this episode has used our entire understanding of Fitzsimmons' dynamic in season 2 against us. You know, so much of the season we've seen them kind of be at odds, and we've seen them diverge on different paths. But what's amazing here is once you cross Coulson, all bets are off. They joined forces and they freaking tricked everybody, literally. The whole idea was to switch the boxes from the first get-go. But they realized how everyone has kind of known that they have not been on the same page for a long time. So they used that against Bobby and Mac. And then right now, Simmons was like, I don't know what could have happened. I guess I don't know what to do after all. All the while, Fitz already left with the actual box in his hand, and I wonder who he could be heading to. So that was just like I loved it. I loved that moment there too. For Ami, the timestamp will be 23:28. While you find that, let me read Eric Goldman on IGN. He says, a lot continues to change on S.H.I.E.L.D., and I'm genuinely curious what the team dynamic will be like when all this plays out, which is a fun place for the show to be. There was some fun surprise returns in this episode as Deathlock made his first season 2 appearance and looked way better costume-wise, than when we last saw him. He may still not be where us comic fans want him, but the new costume is a big improvement over that clunky, plastic-looking getup from season 1. The reveal that had been working up for Coulson tracking Hydra was a cool one, and hopefully he gets to really unleash in episodes to come. On top of that, Sky's mother, Jia-Ying, is alive, and has firmly fallen the camp that believes the more Dickman Lockman, the better. I'm all for it. What's interesting is she didn't reveal who she was yet to Sky herself, even though it seemed Callum must have already known she was back. We continue to learn more about the Inhumans as Sky met her transitioner, Lincoln. I do hope his powers get better defined going forward. He can control electricity, which he can use to make you feel weird, or help you float. It's a bit vague. Oh, don't worry, Eric. You'll see soon enough what Lincoln can do. Gonzalez turned out to be pretty hardcore in his concern regarding superpowered people, concern/prejudice, yet he remains fairly nuanced, with Coulson himself believing he was ultimately a good person. His way of figuring out how to handle May was interesting, as he made her a member of his board, wanting Coulson to have an advocate when he's caught. What I really liked about Gonzalez, though, was his statements about loyalty and his utter belief that it's S.H.I.E.L.D., not Coulson, that the team should be committed to above all else. Whether you think he's right or wrong, that belief is one that is understandable as far as his motivations go. The reveal that not only had Fitz made off with Fury's toolbox, but that Simmons helped him do it, was a nicely done one, and the best moment yet as far as helping these two characters reconcile. Presumably, Fitz will now join up with Coulson, Hunter, and Deathlock. I love how, one by one, Coulson's, getting the gang back together, but, outside of, outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. But obviously the fact that they are in turn searching for Ward won't make him happy. Yeah, pretty bad. Okay, let's go ahead and go to Ami.
That made me tear up, man. Dude, what a fucking show, man. What a show. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, man. So, Sky's in the magical little village. Now, I don't know if this is the same village that got overrun and everybody was massacred, or that was just a nearby village, and this is where they kind of transition and made their kind of reprieve or their retreat. Her mother's supposed death at that point. I like that they kind of played it that way, but all of her organs got removed. Did they regenerate? We don't necessarily know her gift. She still got some scarring for sure after whatever had happened, assuming that's what those scars are from. But does she have an insane healing factor? We know she ages slower than most people by a long shot. So can she survive having her blood drained and all of her organs taken out? Or is this, I was going to say, or a husk or a copy or something like that. I mean, it's sold as her mother. But there's just a lot of things we've been fed up until this point that just make me go, huh. It could have been looking back on it, a lot of wordplay. A lot of from this point of view kind of stuff going on. But though her father's mission for vengeance, and even he was going to destroy the world, it made me think that he believed she was also dead, but he clearly knows that that's not the case here. So I don't know if that's a retcon as they were developing the story, or a red herring, something he was selling to Hydra to get closer and to sell his resolve. I don't know. Could go either way with it. But I love the way that we're kind of doling out this information about the people like Sky, and coming here to this community of people who all have this genetic marker, and there's this whole ritual around it where they choose one person every year, and she just her and Raina both skipped that line. We're not prepared in any of the formal rites or anything like that, and we're handed these gifts without any kind of expectation or preparation or conditioning or education at all, because you can see exactly how that turns out when you're kind of guided along the whole process. You have somebody like Gordon who's running this whole thing for the most part, at least on behalf of whoever's in charge, which seems to be her mother and maybe some other people as well. The fact that her mother is chosen to be her guide, I don't think that's any coincidence or anything like that. She probably opted in because she also is trying to, she just, like she said, is like, I'm not going to make you have a connection. If you don't sense anything between us, I won't make you stay. I won't force it. You know, she wants her to choose her. She wants her to see if that spark, that chemistry, that tie is there, but naturally. She doesn't want to, you know, if she just came in and like, I'm your mother, that would color Sky's perception of this relationship. Keeping that hidden allows it to blossom naturally to see if they just, without that tie, if they form a bond. Bold move. Bold move. But I think that just goes to show just how much she actually, I would hope at least, cares about her daughter at the end of the day. Now, and then again, that goes back to like the way Gordon was talking to Cal, to her father, about him being undisciplined. And he still has this freak rage strength that we don't necessarily know where that came from. Like, did he try to replicate their genetics within himself and just kind of made this botched, haphazarded kind of amalgam of the two? I'm not exactly sure. I know they talked about it, but I don't remember exactly what the details were, or if we even got that many details. Then Raina being in here being like, we're not so different, you and I. I was like, bitch, shut up. You are not this, other than the fact that you are of the same type of people, you are not the same at all. But they're also treating all of them as equally needing protected and stuff like that. So like it's what Raina's kind of preaching in a way, that once they've kind of crossed this bridge, crossed this road, and both of them were always after answers, regardless of whether or not it made sense or was safe to do so. You know, whether it was about her mother, her father, what happened, who or what she is, she was always seeking those answers. And Raina was always following her destiny as well, though it was one set in motion by her own, by Sky's own father as well. So it's just this thing where it's just like, they're understandably protecting themselves, their people, give them this chance to be safe, to be transitioned, to be helped and aided, and not antagonized. But this discounting of everything that they were before, it's a wholly different thing. Like, it's like, now that we are all of the same group, we are all no longer individuals, is what it sounds like. That part I don't jive with at all, and I'm wondering if we punch through that eventually. But anyway, the whole thing with not Grant Gustin running around showing her his powers and introducing him to the city, this village, the people, the culture, the ideas, and all this kind of stuff, the rituals, that all was so fun. This place is gorgeous also, by the way. I think his name was like Lincoln or something like that, right? And he can control electricity, the static charge of molecules and all that, while she controls the vibrations. And when she was raging out, she was focusing all of that on Raina. I wonder if she could just like pop some people, man, from the inside out. Sky, if that's what her power really is, she can manipulate the vibrational frequency of molecules. It's not literally telekinesis that she's got. It's not literally manipulating and creating earthquakes. You know, it's not that she can only affect the ground. She can affect literally any object, organic or inorganic, because it all vibrates, which is potentially OP as fuck. Like, you could do some gnarly damage with that. Hold on, coming back to that. Raina being like, I look like on the outside, like you are on the inside. I'm like, what the fuck? Shut the fuck up. No, you look like you are on the inside. Get out of here with that. Stop trying to like, front and posture and all this stuff. Shut the hell up. You got what you deserved. Anyway, that whole spiel frustrated the shit out of me. My God, I fell for it. The entire little posturing, again, I like using that word sometimes, but the whole like facade and show that Fitz and Simmons put on to keep them from being able to access this thing. She knew if she did what she did in the way that she did it, he would catch wind of her tampering without him, you know, giving in, agreeing to help them without him to access it, knowing she wouldn't be able to fully do that by herself, and that would prompt him to see that she's willing to do this and then to leave. But he also recognized that she recognized that she recognized that he recognized that that was the plan. So the two of them orchestrated this little song and dance to make it look like they're just pushing each other apart. Oh, it's so brilliant. It worked. It worked, especially with how things have been going over the course of the season. I think these last 2 episodes have proven to me, at least, that everything that Gemma has been saying up until this point was true. Even if she did go about it the wrong way, I do think she has mishandled some of the change that has taken place, but I do feel like she is still choosing to trust in her friends, regardless of what she feels in a moment or an emotional outburst at any given point. Like I said before, I want to believe, like Fitz says, I want to believe that, you know, she would see Skye still as a friend and that as this thing that needs to be fixed, this broken, like, wounded animal that she needs to patch up or whatever, or cure, or pray away what she is, you know? That's the whole, like I said, that's the parallel that everything was kind of screaming to me when I was watching this. And whether or not that she could truly love her and accept her for who she was, much like she's been struggling to do with Fitz. But I think we're finally getting there. I think this was the true testament of that. Like, she was on this fence. She was kind of teetering one way or the other in which way she could go. And I think that was purposefully done, obviously for the drama of the show and all of that, to kind of keep us on our toes while we're watching this unfurl to see what exactly she's going to do. Because definitely the way they framed certain things was in this antagonistic kind of way to put her against Fitz, as well as Skye, create the tension and the drama while kind of instilling us with some level of uncertainty. And we get this payoff here that I think this tells us all we need to know. The sandwich, the swapping of the device.
Yeah, the sandwich. I forgot about that. You know, the sandwich.
Out of their hands and this whole thing. And he knew because he knew Simmons. And it just comes back to, like, where they were in these moments where if they weren't thinking about what was going on, they just went right back into the swing of their emotions, man. Like, they just went right back to how they used to be when they're not thinking about what is. Their bond is so natural. It's only when they're overthinking everything that's going on between them or around them that it gets in the way of all of it. Now, though, I think we're inching ever closer towards that slowly, that rift kind of closing. Even though physically that rift is now, you know, larger because she had to cast him out. They have to work inside and out to figure out what's going on. I love the whole play here, and especially with the rifts that are being developed between the real Shield and Shield. But then we also have this kind of will she, won't she moment with Gonzalez approaching May and offering her a seat on the board. You know, it's like, hey, with everything that's going on, we got to treat him like a fugitive because that's how he's acting. If we want to go the way this should go, maybe somebody should be on the board that would stand up for him, voices concerns and all that kind of stuff. So he's trying to be a diplomat. He's not a bad guy. None of them are bad people. None of them are bad. It's just...
Yeah, except one of them.
Perspective, the way we've been following the show, we've basically been trained to tribalize ourselves with the people we've been following, and that is naturally the case with anything we watch most of the time. And I get where they're coming from, but they're still wrong. They're still wrong. I don't care. And then, oh my gosh, all the stuff with Coulson and Hunter was just so good. The way they kind of tricked those soldiers when they came in and busted into the cabin to the backup from Mike Peterson. That was so good. I did not see that coming at all, man. Oh my God. The show's so good. It's real good. It's real good.
And we can stop there because, of course, the show's real good. That's all need to be said sometimes with the show, obviously. Oliver Sava says that a lot of things. I'm looking over what he says. Tonight's episode provides a lot of information, but not much in the way of thrills. Okay, that's a pretty good summarizing sentence for how he feels. While there's considerable forward momentum movement with Skye, the Gonzalez-Coulson conflict lags this week. There's the aforementioned sequence with Deathlock that spotlights the sweet new upgrades Mike Peterson has gotten. There's some tense conversations between May and Gonzalez that continue to build the atmosphere of paranoia that will directly play into next summer's Captain America Civil War. Oh, don't remind me of a good Captain America movie. We'll also get some new hints Oh, regarding the mission that earned her the nickname the Cavalry, which is coming up pretty soon. I suspected that Simmons would join Gonzalez's group if she was asked. And while it looks like she's helping the enemy this episode, she's still loyal to Coulson and tapping into those double agent muscles she worked out at the start of the season. She toys around with Coulson's mystery box, knowing that it will infuriate Fitz and make him want to leave. And when he packs his bags and heads out, he discovers that Simmons has snuck the real device into his bag while she works with a fake. She's also packed a prosciutto and mozzarella sandwich with pesto aioli because she's the best. So now the team is even more scattered than before, although I imagine it won't be long until Fitz joins up with Coulson and Lance. Considering the monumental events of last week's episode, it makes sense for S.H.I.E.L.D. to take a breather and assess the characters' current situations, and while Afterlife doesn't offer as much excitement as recent installments, it's still a completely serviceable chapter in a very strong season. It would be nice to see the writers and designers have a bit more fun with the inhuman elements of the story, but like Lincoln, I'm gonna stop there, just to interrupt real quick. One of the things that I just can't stop thinking about, David, is like, again, we just saw a Marvel movie in theaters this past week, 2025, that probably cost anywhere between, if we're being charitable, $300 and $400 million. With some of the worst looking green screen yet.
Yeah.
And that's saying a lot, because there have been a long string of some of the worst green screen I've ever seen, variety, in just about all of the films. Eternals notwithstanding, obviously. But, like, I'm still kind of thinking about what we just saw here with the fact that, okay, maybe they did go on location. I don't know how you would create that mountain, but that looked great.
No, yeah.
How does I'm so sorry not to offend S.H.I.E.L.D., how does a low-budget TV show like S.H.I.E.L.D. look 1,000 times better than the last movie in the Marvel Universe that came out in theaters?
I would say
putting
more.
It out there.
I would say more, but like we can't talk about Captain America in this.
No, we don't want to say it. We just say no. I know. It's too tempting not to get into it. Anyway, some stray observations from Oliver Sava. Interestingly enough, okay. So this review was published, I want to say April 8th, 2015. And this was the last Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode to debut before the debut of Daredevil. He says here, Daredevil debuts this Friday, and I'm so excited. Yeah. I gotta say, like, Daredevil season 1 was definitely a moment. I think we all watched it when it came out, and it was just like, wow, what is this? Of course, part of me also became immediately infuriated how, like, that was, like, so beloved and accepted, and some people were taking that opportunity to attack S.H.I.E.L.D. because, of course, how could they not? You know, the usuals like John Campea of Collider at that moment, who would obviously take any opportunity to attack S.H.I.E.L.D. no matter what. So that's obviously very annoying how we had a different TV show out there in the Marvel Universe that was just automatically like, wow, this is way better than anything S.H.I.E.L.D. ever did. And I'm like, okay, I'm not taking anything away from Daredevil, but I'm like, wow, you ain't got to be so rude, which what many people were in that sense. But we loved Daredevil. Genuinely, I feel like there needs to be one of these days, probably an episode where you and I kind of like rank everything that came out of Marvel in that era, whether it was like Marvel Studios or Marvel Entertainment, because there's obviously so much, but I feel like, you know, with the law of diminishing returns and with so many weaker and weaker Marvel movies coming out these days, it's a lot less interesting to consider just a normal list of like ranking all the movies, because quite frankly, there's a lot more interesting projects than just the MCU movies that I think it would be very interesting to look at a top 10. Now, obviously, I'll make it no secret, the suspense on my list would be out the window because we all know I would put S.H.I.E.L.D. number one, no matter what. It would be the number one project, anything when it comes to Marvel ranked. But there are a lot of other projects in the Marvel universe that I happen to love very much so that would surprise people. But also, I think like Daredevil itself was, I mean, everybody, it's beloved. But I also have to, again, I don't want to say too much. If you want to know our thoughts on Brave New World, there'll be a podcast for that soon. But I think my feelings have kind of remained unchanged from last time there was a Marvel movie, which was Deadpool and Wolverine, a film that you quite enjoyed, David, but I also just quite despised. Again, we were not on the same page on that one. I had a miserable time with Deadpool and Wolverine, but that's just me. I will say this: I had a much more miserable time with Deadpool and Wolverine than I did with Brave New World. But Brave New World has other things that we can get into that isn't to me. Okay, I'll stop saying about that.
Yeah.
But the point is this: there is a new Daredevil season, I guess you could say, coming out this year. Only this time, it's not going to be made by any of the people who made it what it was. And now it's going to be made by the people who brought us the recent string of disasters. And like what I have been saying for years. Look, I'm like, I don't want to come on here and like take a victory lap of like, I was right. But I'm like, if you're out there like having like your fingers crossed for a good Daredevil show, don't even bother. Because I don't know how you feel, David, but that to me that was never on the table.
Yeah,
that was just not on the table. And I guess we'll see how it is whenever it debuts. I guess in the next coming weeks and months. But yeah, that's about it. Anything else to say about this episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. before we sign off today?
No, I mean, it was good. This is like, it's so funny. I feel like we've been kind of like, we watch one episode and we don't really talk much because it's not because we're bored or anything. But like, we're just so focused on, okay, wait, what are they saying in this moment? It's like, how's the conversation going? And plus I'm trying to like analyze everything. It's like, fuck, dialogue's still good.
Yeah, it comes a mile a minute, doesn't it?
Yeah. And, but like, it's always like that where it's like, like 2, maybe 3 episodes, we don't talk much, but like, we're focusing in on what they're saying and all that, and it's really cool seeing these details and all that. But then like episodes after that, it builds up and all that. I mean, that's like every other fucking long running series and all that, but it's just so fun like rewatching it with this and kind of going like, man, you guys just figured it out for sure on this season, like what to do. It's like, all right, exposition here, then we build up in this moment and then execute, and they kill it every single time.
For sure. Well, thank you all for watching and listening, and we'll catch you back next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.